If you're a coffee lover, you're going to love these coffee buns. They're nice and fluffy. There's coffee flavoring in the bread and also on top of the bread. It's like a thin layer of coffee. So you may have seen these at your local Asian bakeries. They are amazing as breakfast, or you can have them with your afternoon tea or coffee. So there's two parts to this recipe. First part, we're going to make the dough, and then the second part, we're going to make that coffee kind of like glaze topping on the buns. So first, in your stand mixer, you're gonna put in some flour. By the way, the ingredients and measurements for this will be in the description below. And then we're gonna add 2 teaspoons of instant yeast. Okay, after this, I'm gonna add some sugar to sweeten it up a little bit. And then I'm gonna add some salt. Just make sure that you put the salt away from the yeast when you're placing it in your bowl. And then I'm gonna add milk powder. This is optional since we are gonna be putting milk later, but if you have it, it really helps with the flavor and fluffiness of the bread. And finally, I'm gonna add some high quality instant coffee. It's very important that you use high quality coffee. Now mix the dry ingredients together before you put in the wet ingredients, just so they can mix better together. Okay, and then I like to just dump in the milk and the room temperature egg. It's a lot easier to mix it in with the rest of the ingredients if it's room temperature. So take the time to bring it to room temperature. Okay, and then just mix it up. Some people like to mix the wet ingredients together first and then the dry ingredients, but I've found that it really doesn't matter as long as you're mixing it in well together. Okay, and then just scrape the sides of the bowl so you can pick up some more of the dry ingredients. By the way, if you want to learn how to master baking bread at home, I have a course online that teaches you how to make fluffy breads like this. It's in the description below if you want to take it. Okay, and then just continue mixing it until it fully incorporates. All right, and then just watch it. If you think it's still a little too dry and you fully mix them together, then feel free to add just a little bit of liquid at a time. So I'm just gonna add a little bit in here to bring the dough together. So your dough should look like this. Let me show you. There's still some dough at the bottom, but kind of press it together with your hands and it should start to come together like this. And don't forget, we're still gonna add some butter here, so this is good enough. If your dough looks like this, you're set. By the way, don't be afraid to work with sticky dough. If anything, learn to work with it because it usually means that it's a richer bread and it also tends to become lighter and fluffier. And now we are going to add the butter. Ugh, I'm gonna have to wash my hands after this. Feel free to use a spatula. I don't know why I decided to claw this out with my fingers. Okay, and then just knead this together until the butter fully incorporates into the dough. And then take the time to scrape the sides of the bowl so that you can get everything well incorporated. Oh, once we added the liquid ingredients in there, you can really smell the coffee. It smells so good. Okay, now we're just gonna let our stand mixer sit here and do the kneading until it passes the window pane test. Okay, let's check this out. So, to see if this is ready, what we're gonna do, stretch it, and if it stretches, you see it, it's kind of translucent before it breaks apart, then that means that it has enough gluten development and we can let it rise. You can really smell the coffee flavor in this bread. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, so just make sure you scrape the sides of the bowl, like always. And then if you want, you can actually have the dough rise in this bowl, or you can have it rise in a separate bowl, completely up to you. Okay, and then you want your bread to rise covered in an airtight container. So my bowl comes with a lid, or you can use plastic wrap or this shower cap. So just, oops, I just placed this on top. And that'll help it retain its moisture as it rises. So we're just gonna let it sit here for about an hour or at least doubled in size. And then we'll come back and punch it down. So this has been rising for about 30 minutes. It hasn't really doubled in size yet, so we're gonna leave this to continue rising. And in the meantime, we are going to be making the coffee topping. Let me look up my recipe here. Okay, so first thing we're gonna have in here is an egg. Okay, actually, no, it is not the egg. We are gonna start with the butter and the sugar, so just set the egg aside for now. Oopsies. First, we're gonna have some sugar, some butter, and then we're gonna whisk these two until they are well combined. But I wanna make sure that the butter and sugar get creamed together before any of the other stuff gets blended in. Okay, and then we're just gonna add a tiny pinch of salt. Okay, now we can add the egg. Perfect. And then we're gonna add the espresso. You wanna mix the espresso in here with the liquid ingredients so that it can start to dissolve and mix into it before we add the flour. If you don't want to do an arm workout, then you can go ahead and do this on your stand mixer or one of those handheld mixers as well. We're gonna add now some flour, and this will really thicken it up. And you don't want to over mix this for this part. Mix it just until everything is combined. Okay, I've got my tall glass here, which is a really easy way for you to prop up your piping bag. Okay, and then just transfer this mixture into your piping bag. See, it's so easy when you have a glass to help you, especially if you don't have any other helpers around. Great, so I'm just gonna keep this in here. I'm not gonna cut the tip off yet until these buns have fully risen and are ready to bake. So I'm just gonna set this aside and we're gonna let this baby rise for maybe another 30 minutes. So I'll see you then. Okay, now this is doubled in size. So, now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna shape these and then let it rise again. Add some flour on your work surface. This just helps the dough not stick to your hands. And then scrape out the dough. And now you just want to punch out all the air bubbles that were created in here while we were letting it rise. Okay, now we're gonna roll it out and then we're gonna divide it into the number of rolls that we want. It also depends on how large you want it to be. So with this, you can probably make between 8 to 12 buns. Okay, so here's 8. Now keep in mind, these are also gonna double in size. So these are gonna be a lot larger, which is great because we're gonna be piping this on top. So you might want more surface area to work with. Okay, and then you just wanna shape these into perfect little buns. So this is how I like to shape the rolls. And when you're done shaping them, you want to put them on a parchment paper lined baking sheet. All right, I'm going to show you. This is how I like to shape my buns. Flatten it out and then fold it upon itself. And then just kind of squeeze the bottom against your work surface. And then roll it into a ball. You're kind of going like this with your hand and you're turning your hand so that it forms a perfect little ball. And this makes sure that the bottom is just nice and pinched together. Okay, now here's the final bun, and you just want to space it out a little bit. These can touch, which is fine, but you do want to give them a little bit of space so that they can continue to expand. I like to use unscented trash bags to cover my bread dough. Make sure it's unscented. You don't want some gross trash liner scent on your breads. Okay, perfect. Now just let this sit and rise until about doubled in size, and then we can put on the topping and we can get to baking. Okay, let's take a look at the buns. Oh, they got ginormous. Okay, so I'm gonna poke it, and if it springs back halfway, then we are ready to pipe the topping. Then you might just wanna cut little piece right there. We are gonna slather a bunch on the top. So when we apply this topping, it's going to melt when we bake it. So you just wanna put the topping near the top of the bun, like this. Okay, this should be good enough. Now just repeat this for the rest of the buns. Ooh, okay, you should have just enough. Perfect, now we're gonna take these buns and bake them in a 350-degree Fahrenheit oven or 175 degrees Celsius for 20 to 25 minutes. Hooray! So here are our buns. So you can see some of them ended up cracking and kind of spilling over. That's okay. I mean, this is what you kind of expect when you make these types of buns, but we've got a couple here that look really great, almost perfect. So this one has a lot of extra topping on the side too. Ooh, and it's nice and fluffy. Oh, it's hot. So you might wanna let this cool down for a few minutes before you transfer it or eat it. Ideally, for freshly baked bread, you wanna wait until it fully cools down, which could take like 30 minutes to an hour, but we're not gonna wait that long, just a few minutes, and then we can finally dig in. Okay, I can't wait anymore. So it's cooled down a little bit. Oh, do you hear that cracking? Whoa. Whoa. And it's so fluffy. I mean, look how pillowy that is. And then listen to the crunch. Okay, time to take a bite. Did you want to come and take a bite? Okay, come on. Come, Doug. Doug is over here watching. Okay. You want to try some?
Yum. Coffee on top.
Yeah, oh, you didn't know what I was making?
It looked like the Samitas one.
Very similar.
But this isn't sourdough?
No. Oh my God, Doug, it would take 2 days to make this.
It's true.
3 days.
That's true. Man, this is really good.
I think this is my new favorite bun. I mean, I love coffee. The flavor of the bun has a little bit of coffee on it, but also this little crispy glaze on top, just ugh. I hope you guys try this at home, it's worth it. Also, let me know in the comments below, what other types of buns or breads do you want me to make? Again, if you are interested in learning more about the ins and outs of baking bread, check out my baking course. Okay, well, I'm gonna eat the rest of this while it's still freshly baked. Let me know in the comments below if you do try this at home, and let me know how it went. Okay, I'll let you go, and I hope to see you back here next week for more delicious food videos. Bye!